Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Rev and Rant. We are here with Mr. Mike Pelly, and I'd say that's a pretty big guest on our show today.
Yeah, Vice President of Chapman University, has been in working for the school for how many years?
Almost 40 years.
Wow, that's pretty great. And big BMW fan. Done a lot of restoration stuff like that, or
Yeah, restorations and a little bit of collecting.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. What are your projects sort of right now? Can you share anything you're working on as of now, or sort of what your collection looks like?
Sure, I'm
broadly?
getting ready to retire. So after 40 years, it's been a wonderful ride. And about a year ago, I bought a project that I've put in storage, and I'm getting ready to pull it out. It's a 1968 BMW 1600 Cabriolet.
Ooh, those are really nice. Those are really cool cars.
So if you saw it today, you wouldn't think it looked very cool. It's an absolute wreck today,
really?
But it'll be perfect when it's done. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you have a passion for this type of stuff, people can just take the junkiest car known to man, like beaten up body panels just smashed in and rust holes through the floor, through everything, and they'll make it perfect if they really care. And that's what I think. That's what I see in you. You're someone who really cares about his projects, his work.
Well, I like working with my hands, and the rust is a killer, though, so I try to avoid that as much as possible. But these cars are, German engineering doesn't get much better, so it's fun to work with your hands. I'm looking forward to it in retirement.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool. Well, can you share a little bit about sort of your backstory getting into the cars and getting into the collection, and we'll read out our phone numbers and stuff in case anyone has a question for you later after that. But can you just sort of share right now your how you got here today and how you started to get into the
as a kid, I was always interested in cars. I don't know why. I remember in elementary school always checking out the same book. And this is in the 60s, mind you.
Yes.
So it was like a pictorial history of every car ever made. And I checked out that book every week, and I think I was the only one. So as a kid, I was always interested in cars, and I can't tell you why.
Yeah.
My father had raced cars when he was younger, but not when I was alive. So I can't really explain that. But in high school, typical, back in when you're a 16-year-old male and you're getting your license, I was super excited, and I was number 6 in my family, 6 children.
Oh, wow.
My dad had bought a Mustang, a 66 Mustang, and it sat kind of wrecked in our garage all growing up. And so when I turned 16, that was my first car. And
really?
American Muscle was fun, and I grew up in Seattle, Washington, and it was a great way to meet other people, but also it was freedom. Back then you guys didn't have Uber or Lyft or all these other things. So a car really meant freedom back when I was 16 versus today.
Yeah. No, I think that's still somewhat true as of today. I remember when I first turned 16, I stopped using the bus or biking everywhere. I was like, this is so much better to not have to wait around. But my first car was a 2000 Mustang GT, so sort of the same. Obviously a lot later, unfortunately, but it was a fun car. I drove it until the engine blew up. My freshman year, actually, here at Chapman. So.
Beautiful. And then you got that Saab, yeah.
Yes.
Then
that was before everything else. I had the 81 Saab. That was going to be my first car, and then I, family friends with the guy who owned it, and drove a lot, practiced a lot of my stick shift driving on it. And the summer before I turned 16, he's like, sorry, it's, in the shop, not running too well. So I was really bummed out, and I somehow managed to, I was the co-president of my high school's car club, and was able to convince someone to let us use her backyard. It was a driveway that went out into the back, and we convinced her to let us use it. Someone that nobody really knew. We put out a post on Nextdoor, and she was fine with that. And then COVID hit. So work just stopped with that. And we moved it into my front yard, and it sat there. We would do some work on it. We had no idea what we were doing at the time, though. It was before I got a lot more experience in restoration and repair. And eventually my mom was like, you got to get it out. If you're going to, it was right before I came here to Chapman. She goes, if you're going to college, it's got to leave. So donated it to college.
Tough choice there, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was sad for me to see it go in the end, but I still have a couple. I kept some of the wheel, hubcaps, and I have the intake
classic
manifold
stuff,
and everything like that says Saab, which I thought was pretty cool. So.
It's probably a blessing that it went away. And
Yeah, really. In all honesty, it's a Saab story, you know.
Good one there.
Yeah, so it's but I'm a lot easier and a lot better to sort of understand and work on the truck that I got right now. So I'll stick to the American stuff for now. I know you used to be in the American, then you switched. When was that switch for you? And
so like I said, when I was 16, I started off in the Mustangs, and it was honestly what you could afford at 16 versus what you can afford near retirement.
Yeah.
And I always had a passion for cars, but the turning point to BMW was my college roommate had a 1973 BMW 2002 TII,
Ooh, yes.
the fuel injected model, and he was from Bellevue also, and we went to college together in LA, and we drove that car down from Bellevue to LA, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful driving machine.
Yeah.
And so I always had this passion for that particular car. And then, I don't know, 20, 30 years later, after, a career is well off and you're kind of in a position in life where you start thinking about things you want to do. So I bought a couple project cars, and then I rented a space to work on them. And then I bought a lift, and I got the tools. And next thing you know, I had like 10 or 15 of these things. And
Wow.
And it was getting a little out of control. And probably one of the best things that ever happened is I lost my lease where my shop was. And so it really made me downsize and I would say focus.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting another space here in Orange, but it's a lot more selective now and just one car at a time. So I'd say I made the switch when I was in college, but there was a 30-year gap after that. It was probably about 10 or 15 years ago when I really started getting into it.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's really cool. And you do all the sort of all the engine work, everything like that yourself, or
I have the beauty of any passion or hobby, and in this particular case, cars. I've met so many wonderful friends, and some of my closest friends, and our wives are friends, and we travel together. And so it's just like anything else. If you're into sports or if you're into music, or in my case, this is one of the hobbies I have is cars. It's a wonderful community of people.
Yeah.
And when I had the space in Newport, the one I lost my lease on, I purposely chose, it was Costa Mesa, Newport border. I chose that location because there were 3 or 4 good friends of mine who were much more mechanically inclined than I was. And they lived 5 minutes from there. And I knew I could get them over. And so I got, thousands of hours of free labor, but I also had the space and the lifts and where they could come and work on their own cars. So it was more of a weekend project thing. And I'm getting ready to retire. So I probably only have one project left in me at this point. There are more important things to do in life, but when you're at a desk all day, you really, at least for me, I really wanted an outlet where I could work with my hands, and I love working with tools, and I've learned so much. So it's been a wonderful journey.
Oh, it's awesome. That's really, really cool. Yeah, you don't hear about that too often about sort of more desk jobs going into everyone that I know, at least people that I like, guy that I sort of my mentor, big contractor, so he's working with his hands all day, and then he goes in because it's sort of mechanically as well. It goes into doing his cars at night, which is a cool one. But that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, well, it's we go all the way with these cars too, and we pretty much take them down to frames off, engines out. And so you need to find parts, and you find the restorer's friends, places where you get things redone. So your question about the work we do, I have painted 2 cars. Probably will never do that again. It's they came out great, but honestly, you pay an expert to do it, and they do it much quicker. And it's just such a messy job. But most of the other work we'll end up doing in our in shop. We obviously won't do, like cylinder head work or engine work. We have to take that up to a machine shop. But we'll disassemble, machine shop it, and bring it back and reassemble.
Oh, it's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. No, yeah. Especially, I was hearing a lot that apparently the guys, you can't find them really anymore, unfortunately, or they're very few and far between. The guys that used to work at Earl Scheib or places like that, where all they did every single day for, 20 years was spray cars, and let them go, spray and let them go. They're like the experts in the field. They're what you can find in that.
Yeah, certainly had the experience.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's read sort of our
we wanted
Instagram
to-
and our phone number in case anybody has any questions for you.
If
You can call
anyone
in.
ever has any questions for us or Mr. Mike
Would you
Pelly,
like us to call you Mr. Dean
Mike's
Pelly?
fine.
Mike's
Mike
fine?
is fine.
Okay.
Mike.
yeah.
Any questions for Mike?
Any questions for Mike? We got our phone number is 714-516-6187. Again, that is 714-516-6187. And if you want to text us, of course, our Instagram handle is going to be Rev and Rant Radio. That is Rev, the letter N, Rant _ radio.
Awesome. And so, Mike, I know you are very involved in Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. So I want to know, sort of ask how you came to get involved with that in the beginning and sort of what you're doing right now with that, if that's...
Yeah, great question. So, as I mentioned earlier, the hobbies turn into friends. The Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance is probably the best car show in the world.
Yeah.
About 15 years ago, one of the BMW friends of mine was a co-chair of the show field, and so we had about 100 volunteers every year, and I was one of them, and I was assigned a class, and you're on the field, and your job is to basically manage one of the 25 to 30 classes of cars. And, this is, picture an incredible scene on the 18th fairway at Pebble Beach, and the best cars in the world, and the elegance of the people. And so it was kind of a no-brainer to go. But what started it all was there's a German show during Car Week called Legends of the Autobahn, and we were all actively involved in that as well. And this was back then it included Porsche, but today it's BMW, Mercedes, and Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And I think Audi might be involved as well. But long story short is a bunch of us were involved in that. And then once our friend became a co-chair of the field at Pebble, he started recruiting more of us and people he could trust. And then several years later, and responsibilities increased, I became co-chair with him and another gentleman, a guy named Larry Walker and Paul Kane. The three of us are the three co-chairs. We manage about 110 volunteers. And so anything that happens on the field, like from the moment the cars enter the field around 6 a.m., to the time they leave around 6 p.m., all the movement of the cars is our responsibility to make sure that everything runs smoothly.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a lot of cars too, and really great. That's amazing. And for someone, college student looking to get involved, where would you send them? Because obviously, like you said, probably the best car show in the world. Really amazing. Everybody anyone that's in the car industry goes there. How would you go about sort of getting involved with that?
Well, let's start with Southern California and the car scene here. I mean,
Yes.
every weekend there's cars and coffee and car shows. I mean, so there's plenty to do car-wise.
Yeah.
And if your question is about how to get involved in Pebble, we literally need more younger volunteers. Every year we're looking for car enthusiasts, as long as they're 18. And we do have a few 18-year-olds. In most cases, it's kind of a father-son type thing, or a father-daughter as well. We have both. So we're expanding every year. We have about 110, as I mentioned, this past year. Every year, our responsibilities increase. They give us more and more to do, and we seem to be able to handle it. So next year, we're probably looking at about 120 volunteers.
Wow.
I have a pool of 240 that I invite. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them are getting older, and the biggest negative or the biggest challenge, I would say, for Pebble, especially for a younger person, is accommodations. Finding a place to stay in Monterey Bay during Pebble Beach Week or Car Week. Everything's 3x more expensive. So the first question I ask when I have volunteers are, do you have a place to stay?
Yeah.
It's an unpaid position. But typically what we have is young car enthusiasts, and even it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
I think this will be my 15th year, I think.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I was looking this last year. I was like, I should check it out, see if I can go. Closest sort of family friend that we know, it lives in Oakland. So I was like, all right, I might do that drive, but with a 62 Ford, it's a little bit more difficult to do that commute sort of for the couple days. And also, all the hotels and everything there it would have wiped me out, I think, financially if I
when Pebble Beach is going, it's just so expensive.
Yeah, well, and let's walk through that. We do have volunteers who drive from places like Walnut Creek and Oakland, but that's a lot to ask. I mean, call time is 4:30 in the morning, and it's just I question the ability to actually pull it off. It's a long day. But like I said, accommodation is the most difficult thing. But the reward is wonderful. I mean, you're seeing the best cars in the world. This year, for example, I took a couple notes here.
Yeah.
This year we had 229 cars, and they came from 55 different countries.
Wow.
And 23 different states. 23 different countries, and 55 of the cars were international entrants from 23 countries. So
that's awesome.
These cars, they literally, the owners will transport them in. I think it's a year and a half in advance is when they start getting invited.
Really?
And
that's
so,
incredible.
It's inexpensive. Literally some of these cars come on transport planes.
Yeah.
So people who don't understand, it's a car show. Well, it's a little bit different than that. It's the only day of the year when Pebble Beach shuts down their 18th fairway.
Yeah.
And they raise money. It's a charity, and they have raised millions and millions of dollars for local charities in the Monterey Peninsula. And people think, Monterey is expensive place to live. There's not a lot of needs. There are a lot of needs there. Things like Boys and Girls Club and et cetera. They've all been supported. So it is a fundraiser.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's really cool. And with the volunteers, sort of what are the duties? I know there's probably like hosts and maybe people, porters pushing the cars.
Right. So just, imagine 27 or 28 classes of cars. Each class has probably, 10 cars in it. And then the first job I give everyone is you're a class host. You and one other person. You're assigned that class. You're there all day. One of you is there all day.
Yeah.
You guys can trade off, who's going to go tour around, grab lunch, et cetera. But it's important that you meet the entrants when they come in the morning, get their phone numbers and contact information. So when the judging comes later, we know how to get a hold of them. And if they win, there's 3 cars from each class that go across the stage. Mm-hmm. So 3 times 27, there's 81 right there going across. And there's another probably 50 cars from special classes that go across. So we have to orchestrate all that movement, make sure that the judging is done, that owners are around, that the cars are running. So host is probably at least half of the job. Then we have the staging lanes, and you mentioned runners or pushers. We try not to touch the cars as much as possible, but they have to go in order to win their award. They have to drive across the stage. So we have the staging lanes where we try to queue up, at least 3 or 4 classes at a time, all ready to go, because this is on live television. So they're coming one at a time, and of course, these are old cars.
Yeah.
And this is actually the fun part of it. This is when cars break down or they won't start, and we have to get out of order. And we have what's called a military push crew. These 4 or 5, maybe up to 6 military personnel. They're there ready to go.
Yeah.
And they wear the white gloves. And this year, I think we had to deploy them 3 or 4 times. But I think every car that went across the ramp actually went on its own power. And this year was even more particular because we had 3 classes of F1 cars, almost 30 F1 cars. First time ever.
Wow.
Those cars don't start and drive. You don't just start it up and drive it up. No, you have to. There's a lot to be said about
it. Use the machine, the gun, right?
Right.
There's a process to starting those things. And when they do start, it's very rewarding, but it's also just like it's a process.
Well, let's delve into this a little bit since I don't want to dominate. But this is probably the most interesting thing about this year's Pebble was there were 3 classes of F1, and as I mentioned, about 30 cars. The winners, 3 from each class, are required to go across the stage on their own power.
Yeah.
So bringing them up from the lawn up to the staging lanes, they get pushed up.
Yeah.
Because you don't start it and then turn it off and restart it. But you're right. These, the starting mechanisms and the apparatus to start these different cars from over a 40, 50-year period is quite different. Some literally start with a key. Others start with these contraptions that are 4 or 5 feet long, these starters and high energy cells and long. Long story short is one of the owners of the McLaren car apparently the story goes, didn't know about how to drive over the ramp if he won. Now, he doesn't know if he's going to win either because there's probably 10 cars in his class. So he has a 3 in 10 chance. Well, as it turns out, on Friday, he called McLaren in England and said, this car needs to drive across the ramp. What do we do? They flew out 3 or 4 mechanics.
Really?
And the machinery to get the car started. And this one particular starter is literally 4 or 5 feet long.
Oh, wow.
And sure enough, he was the top 3 in his class. I think he ended up being the number 1. And they got it up to the ramp, and they're trying to start this thing. And it was, we're on television, and it won't start because it takes a while.
Yeah.
And I'm right there in the middle of it, and I have a headset on with half of an earmuff, one earmuff and the other one open. And I was right there when they started it, and I literally lost my hearing for like 20 minutes. It was so loud. But the crowd went crazy, when they went across the ramp, and he ended up winning an award. But this is the level of commitment it takes to get a car like that to Pebble. And the car came from England to begin with.
Oh, so that's
incredible.
Shipped over. Oh, so he shipped it over from.
Oh, sure.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's amazing.
Several cars came from England.
That's really cool.
But wasn't planning on starting it.
Yeah, just planning on showing it.
And that's unusual. This is the first year we've ever had F1 race cars. We've had race cars in the past, but in particular with 30 F1s, the idea, we anticipated this was going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Just getting the cars up to the ramp
was going to be difficult.
Yeah. Well, these are the rarest of the rarest F1 cars, too.
Yeah.
Really neat.
Oh, that's awesome. And obviously...
They've got to be low for, the ramps,
I was going to say.
They're low.
They don't have
the
much
ramps,
clearance.
Very observant of you to say that. So we had to customize the ramp this year as well.
Oh, yeah.
We've had really low race cars in the past, but, typically, especially the early pre-war cars, clearance is not a problem on a pre-war car. You can almost, walk under some of those. But, with race cars, we're talking like, an inch of clearance. And so just the transitions and getting them up to the ramp and over the ramp, we had to customize some of the transition pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure you're not taking off the front fender from the front wing.
Well, funny you used to say that because some of the cars, when they arrive, they come with their wings off, and then they attach the wings once they're on the lawn.
Oh, that's smart, though, honestly.
That does make sense. If, you're taking it off a trailer...
or coming off an airplane. I wouldn't trust
I'm really curious. I'd love to see where they come in. I mean, ship or planes. I know there's a whole business of that as well. I don't, that's the part it's kind of a mystery to me. Yeah. I don't know how they get there, but they get there.
Oh yeah.
Well, I know shipping in a container by sea is like $5,000 already. I can't imagine the price and logistic nightmare of shipping it by plane because that would be.
And then you got to think about the price for insurance on an F1 car.
Yeah.
So that's got to be even more.
Yeah, get someone to.
Well, there's different scales of economy when it comes to some of these owners.
That's true.
We're talking about people who aren't even anywhere near the same tax bracket
Sunday,
as us.
Yeah, not Sunday cars and coffee that we're used to. It's a completely different ballgame there.
Oh, entirely different.
Yeah, well, that's incredible to hear. And so, are you doing more? Are you looking for the future? More of that sort of stuff.
Volunteers. Yeah. So, give me a call.
Will there?
Seriously.
Okay. Yeah.
We like younger, and I want to get more women involved. This is you don't have to be a car person, but I would say 90% of the folks who do volunteer are over the top. You're going to have to commit to a 4 a.m., 4:30 start, find a place. If you're going to commit to that, you're probably a car enthusiast.
Well, I just a couple weeks ago I was just in Alabama. I was working for shadowing a race team in Leeds in the GT4 class.
Oh, wow.
And I flew out there, only had one hotel reservation for one night. I was like, okay, I'll just camp. Bought a $30 tent. I ended up sleeping in the trailer in the where the car usually is stored.
Sure.
100% better than a tent. I loved it, but if they got a place for me to set up camp, I'm there. And, but I know Pebble Beach probably a little bit more difficult to find something like that than in Alabama. But
it's not like you can pull up a tent right outside the venue.
That's true. That would be a little
weird. They'd come out and be like, "What are you doing?"
Well, funny you should say that. We do not encourage this because, you have to get your sleep. And also, there's a uniform, blue jacket, white shirt. We provide a tie and a hat. But at the Laguna Seca or WeatherTech Raceway, I think it's called now, Laguna Seca to me.
Yeah, always been always will be Laguna Seca.
You can camp there as well because there's races going on all weekend. But that's a tough grind. you're not sleeping well. So the audience we have who are hosts tend to be a little bit more mature and have means. And honestly, it's the first question I ask: do you have a place to stay? And anyway from Santa Cruz, obviously, that's a little bit farther away, but with traffic, Santa Cruz isn't too far away.
Yeah.
And even the other side of the 68 was Salinas. So,
well, like I said, that was the only thing that stopped me this last year. I was looking at the page open with the application in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, this looks cool," and was like, "Let me see if I can, before I fill anything out, if I can." And it just seemed a little bit too hard to find everything. So I think there's probably a good crowd. I mean, mainly, I know there's a big one in NorCal as well, but I'd say that still the remnants of what's left in California for the classic scene, and for people that are younger, I guess, are usually down here in SoCal. So I've seen so far, but but are you guys planning on for next year and for years to come having more F1, more racing sort of stuff, or are you just going to stick to pre-war?
Well, that's not up to me, but this is what I understand. I think it was last year was the first year we had more than 50% of the entrants were post-war. Mm-hmm. And it's natural. I mean, there's a progression.
Yeah.
And that was a symbolic moment because, the industry is changing. As we get older, of course, what's considered a classic is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
F1's, I believe, was probably a one-off year for quite a while. But there's a group, they work on this, 5-10 years in advance. So I'm sure they already know what the plan is for next year.
Yeah.
They haven't announced it yet for next year, but the F1 I think was kind of a special one-off thing. I think. Mm-hmm. Also this year, they had the Invictas, which is an incredibly gracious-looking car, and they also had a tribute to 60 years of Cobra. And they had the most incredible, you get the top 10 or 15 Cobras there, including the number one production car.
Wow.
Not just regular Cobras. I mean, every one of those Cobras
really
had a story. So it's not just F1s this year. They had they have
a lot of other.
Yeah, it's very, very well thought out. And being able to get these cars in advance, it's not like they just call someone even a year in advance. I think they know multiple years in advance. And if you get invited, sometimes, the cars will go through a restoration, and it has to be done and ready to go. And restoration shops aren't always the most timely. So I think there's a lot of thought I know there's a lot of thought that goes into this process, but I'm not aware of how they do it.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned Shelbys and Cobras, because I just read this story that Carroll Shelby, obviously the most copied, really easy car, the Cobra, to make into a kit and sell it, and he realized he was missing out on a lot of money. So I think in the 90s or something like that, he was caught by, I think, Federal Trade Commission or given some sort of legal suit or something like that, because he himself made his own kit car for it to try and copy, which I think is
so he made his own kit car out of the own car that he created?
Basically.
And he got sued by himself?
I'm sure Ford or some other, for providing those stuff. I'm not fully sure of the story, but it is sort of interesting that
Carroll just went.
Even Carroll Shelby was trying to copy his own.
I had not heard that story. It surprises me a little bit. I mean, he was always giving back to the community. He was quite the entrepreneur. I've seen several Mustangs and Cobras with his signature across the dash plate. The joke is, with a lot of old cars like that, they only made 400 and today 600 exist, because of the replicas. So that Cobras in particular had probably the largest replica business.
Yeah.
And a lot of them used, those Mustang 5-liter frames. There was actually, before you guys started attending Chapman, there was one of the better shops, reproduction Cobra shops right here in Old Town Orange.
Really?
They didn't, low volume, but high quality. And a lot of celebrities were at this kind of old building on the, southwest corner of the plaza.
Yeah. Sort of where the C.W. Moss is?
Yeah, in that area.
Okay, gotcha. Because that's how the car...
And, it was kind of indescript. There's also a couple other restoration shops locally that are very incognito that put out some of the best cars in the world.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, well, being from California and from LA and stuff, as much as I get annoyed often about how the car industry and car culture here is going, especially with the new laws, being enacted, no gas cars after 2035, I believe, and everything like that, sort of how we're headed. I'll be driving, especially in Orange County, down the street and see some of old school, California that just makes me super proud to be here, because it's you'll see a shop that's been there since the 70s, and all the time you can see Gone in 60 Seconds. It's filmed all throughout LA, all throughout Carson and Culver City, and you can see that just driving down the street, which is really cool to see, sort of remnants of hot rodding.
I completely
SoCal.
agree. Driving down the street, going, actually there's this one little shop in the circle that closed down a little before, or like a couple years before we got here, and my friend was actually telling me about it. It was just like a little quick repair shop, and like he was like telling me the history about it, like telling me, oh yeah, he'd stop up there every day when he was a little kid, because he was like, oh, he thought it was cool. He thought it was like, oh, cars in there, people working on cars. Then that's kind of how he started like looking at cars and becoming interested in these types of things. And I'm just like, oh.
It sounds like there was a shop called Snow's. It was generational. It sounds like that might be what you're describing. What's interesting for me is listening to this younger group, generation, maybe two generations. It's a dying breed out there, and not too many 16 or how many 16-year-olds delay getting their license nowadays, let alone
that's true.
Getting into cars. And what I considered a classic back when I grew up, is completely different today. So I'm always, I'm passionate about it, but I'm even more passionate when I meet younger 20-year-olds who understand that culture. And we need that. And that is the future of any car club in America, like the BMW Car Club of America. There's the classic group, which I'm in, all the, probably pre-74, I would kind of divide, maybe pre-80s. But the fastest growing is all the tuner classes and the M's.
Yep.
And that's,
that's a new sort of.
And those shows are like 5, 6, 7 times better attended than the old classic stuff.
Well, we were actually, Noah and I were just talking about that last night, where it's annoying for us, being sort of in the younger generation of classic car lovers, is
we're not up that early, and it's like, yeah.
I mean, sometimes we are, but it's just the people. I was like, oh, how cool would it be to have like a classic show? I grew up going to Bob's Big Boy right when I got my license. I was there every Friday. We'd drive up, do that, and really cool. And that's Friday nights from 4 to 10, I think, and it's cool with the neon and sort of. I was like, how cool would that be? To have a show like that. But a lot of the people that go to a lot of those night shows, unfortunately now, it's starting to turn into a scene that's not too great, not a great look on the car culture. It's just doing donuts and shutting down the middle of the street and stuff like that. So
that's always disappointing. Those listeners out there, what we're talking about is cars and coffee. They've sprung up all over the country, if not the world.
Oh yeah.
But you're right. It's usually a 6 a.m. deal, and if you get there at 6:15, it's hard to find parking sometimes. Mm-hmm. But my wife and I are planning to spend more time up on Bainbridge Island, Washington, when I retire. And this is a great story about the car culture and meeting people. So they have the local Bainbridge Island Cars and Coffee at Jake's Pickup Cafe, and I knew about it. So I show up Saturday morning around 6 a.m. and there's no one there.
Yeah.
And I go inside and I ask the woman inside, Christy, I met her, and she said, oh, no, we do it on Friday, and it starts at 9 a.m. because most of the owners up there, they're all retired. Oh, so it's the one exception to the 6 a.m. Saturday. Bainbridge is on Fridays at 9 a.m.
Oh, that's awesome.
Of course, when I'm moving back up there, I've already met 15, 20 people who are just wonderful people. And this is the great thing about any sort of hobby.
Yeah.
If you're moving to a new town, one of our friends who was part of the Bainbridge Island Cars and Coffee also moved to Hawaii, and now he's president of the Classic Car Club of Honolulu.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was young blood, and they came in and they signed him. So it's a great way to meet people. It's just like any other hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about Donut Derelicts, which is up here.
That's actually about what I was about to talk about. I was like, that reminds me of Donut Derelicts. They start at like I mean, officially, I think they start at like 7, but people get there at like 5 in the morning,
yeah.
and then they leave at 9, and it's like,
I've heard
I'm
that if you
not
get
up
there,
at 9.
I've heard that if you get there at 7, like from people that go, hardcore, they're like, oh, everyone's there from 5 to 7. If you get there at 7, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well,
Yeah,
I just might as well not go to bed that night.
Yeah.
Quite often you're driving up around 7 or 7:30 and you see cars exiting and going the other way, so you know you're late. And you mentioned earlier about the donuts or derelicts. I've actually never been to that show, which is really surprising.
Really?
But they used to have the Crystal Cove show in Newport, and it was well attended by some really mature, classic, $1 million type cars.
Yeah.
Unbelievably nice. Of course, there's a Starbucks and other places to get breakfast, but PCH all of a sudden became, I joke, I'm a Mustang guy, so I'll use this as an example.
Yeah.
The Mustang crowd showed up. And next thing you know, it's 0 to 60 as fast as you can with really loud cars. And it ruined it because, there's a lot of nice homes in the area. It's a residential. You have to be respectful. Mm-hmm. And I'm sounding old, especially from the car culture, but it kind of ruined it. And it got shut down as a result of that.
Yeah.
Cops are coming and CHP giving out tickets. And, it's just go fast, go loud. It's not really what it should be like at 6 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, like with anything good, it only lasts for a while.
Yeah. Well, I'm all for, rowdy sort of car. That's fun. And I am still 21, so, but I also am very much like, if you're going to do that, do it in a industrial area or somewhere that there's no car, make sure you're being safe about it. I 100% would say just go to Irwindale, and that still was a thing because that was perfect. And then they shut down the one last, remaining drag strip in the LA area. So everyone's just going to the streets now, which is a little sad about that. But I won't disclose my age today, but if I could go back and talk to my 16 or to 21-year-old self, I don't think I would have listened to the advice. But it's as I get older, going fast and being loud, it's a lot less appealing. It's about the the people and the cars and the culture. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Have you ever been to quarantine cruises?
Oh, you mean during COVID?
No, it's still happening now. It started during COVID because there was no major car shows, and it's still happening now. I don't know why they still have the same.
They call it the quarantine cruise and PCH.
Yeah,
or
cruise and
like
PCH.
Yeah.
They meet in Costa Mesa, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, Costa Mesa at 6 to 9, and then at 9 you start driving and you end up in Long Beach. You just take the PCH, and it's got an okay crowd. I mean, you'll see some really cool cars there, and people are coming from all over. I think Kevin Hart went once with his I want to say Chevelle.
I couldn't tell you.
I wasn't there actually at that one, but they have different themes. Like they have Ladies Weekend, so it's mainly female car enthusiasts there, and then they had F100s and they had C10 week. So it was always a different theme. Everybody goes. And it's sort of a cool crowd. You do get those occasionally. You'll get those people that will come and a souped up Challenger or something like that'll start drag racing in the middle of the PCH. But everybody,
and then no one else will join him.
I would say for the most part, it's a cooler. My truck can only go 55 if I'm floor and head. If I'm not trying to push the engine too much. So, but you keep up with it. It's not like a bunch of people racing. It's just sort of cruising, which is fun. And it's a good sort of crowd to be around.
Oh yeah. Like I remember last time I was cruising down the PCH with me, my Beetle friend. I think you were somewhere. I think you were a couple cars behind me. Yeah. Then I was following an old Mercury. I was following an old Ford Falcon, and I think it was there was also a Lincoln Zephyr there, which was pretty cool. Just like me and then a couple other cars just driving down PCH and if you had taken a picture with an older camera, you could have sworn it was taken back in the 70s or 80s. It was a really cool experience because it was just old cars for miles, old classics. Just love it.
Well, as I was listening to you talk about your old Volkswagen, the old BMW is a little 4-cylinder. Yeah. That's the other thing. Maybe that's why I'm not into the go fast culture, because my cars are not go fast cars. Yeah. But, we will participate, my friends, and things like you described. But there's longer events, once a year there's a group, we call it Kustenfahrt, and it's we go to Paso Robles for a 3 or 4 day cruise. Oh, yeah? And Paso becomes our headquarters, and we discover these incredible back roads, that are less traveled, and we have wonderful lunches and wineries, and it's usually a group of 10, 15, which is nice.
Yeah.
And like with anything else, if it gets too big, it becomes difficult to manage. But it's really, and it's couples often, and it's overnight, and so it's that's what we're talking about in terms of the culture. Close friends getting together, sharing an experience, and often with great meals and wine. And Paso Robles is a great headquarters, so it's a once-a-year event, and I've been on it a few times. It's that's my kind of event versus dragging up PCH between Newport and Long Beach.
Is there a I also something that came to my head? I couldn't tell you exactly why. Charlie was telling me yesterday he saw on, I think, your bio or something, it was like something about you're also into Porsches? Or was that just a typo?
I think it said it on the Chapman website at one point.
Really?
Or someone told me about. I'm pretty sure at one point on your it changed.
Never owned it. So I like Porsches, but I have only so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
And, and a lot of the BMW guys are also into Porsches or German cars in general. Yeah. And I have helped friends restore Porsches. That's probably what I don't know what you read, but as a matter of fact, the shop I have right now, my roommate, so to speak, he owns the shop. He has 2 or 3 Porsches, and including a race Porsche. So they're lovely cars. I have not gotten into them, and I probably won't. Yeah. Because it is exponentially more complicated in terms of what a 9.9 or a 911 is. I mean, versus I'm a kind of pigeonholed between pre-74 BMW. That's and post-68. That's kind of my wheelhouse, and I can barely keep up with that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, that's true. When you're jumping around, sort of, even Ford versus Chevy, there's so many, slight stuff that you don't really realize. You get you're used to half-inch or something like that, and it's completely just switch the bolt up a little, small stuff, and just completely. So yeah, the Porsche versus BMW though, a lot, completely a different ball game, switching between the two.
And then also it's like one of them's air cooled, one of them's water cooled.
That's
so
true.
It's like, I mean,
I've actually never worked on an air cooled.
Yeah, you worked on your bike.
Yeah, the bike. But I've never worked on like a full, Porsche. I mean, I'm small stuff for a Volkswagen before, but never. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done.
If taking the exhaust off told you anything, it's that Volkswagens are easy.
Yeah, Volkswagens are very easy.
And mine is the most complicated version, the fuel injection model, which is still just a bolt to take out both fuel injectors on each side. It's a bolt holding them in.
Mechanical fuel injection?
Electric.
Really? What year was that car?
79.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, there you go. It's new.
It's newer, yeah. It's one of the only reason that I still keep it around today. Holds a lot of sentimental value to me, both with it was my mother's in college and the fact that it was I tie my grandfather a lot to it, and me and him were very close. And also, that car, I would say, is probably one of the more reliable Beetles you will ever own. Like, everyone's like, oh, the fuel injection systems are terrible on those cars. I'm like, what gave them the bad name is the early, 60s, or the late 60s Volkswagen Type 3 fastbacks and squarebacks, all these types of cars. They had fuel injection, but they had vacuum-powered fuel injection, which constantly failed. Like, if you developed one small vacuum leak, you would be searching through the entire car just to find the vacuum leak and fix the fuel injection system. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, oh, yeah, my car burnt down because it had a fuel injection problem. And I'm like, yeah, that's what's giving my car a bad name, even though mine moved from the vacuum type to the electrical type, which is 10 times better. It's still a dummy type of injection that it just spray, all 4 of them spray little spritzes at one time, and then it'll fire this cylinder, and then while this one is spraying, it'll fire that cylinder. This one's spraying it's.
So you're from Michigan, right?
Yes.
You brought this car out from Michigan to Orange?
Yeah.
Good for you.
I drove it or when I first came out here, I shipped it because I just filled it to the brim with stuff, like to put in my dorm. Then when the year ended, I put some of the stuff in storage, and then the rest of it I was able to carry in a car. And actually, I put it in another car. We bought another Beetle out here, a '63 ragtop Beetle,
nice.
And stuck a bunch of stuff in that, and shipped that car back to Michigan, but drove the yellow one all the way back to Michigan. And then this summer, actually just before I was about to leave, we discovered I had a pretty significant oil leak from my my oil cooler, which is like the only way the oil stays cool in the car. So if that continued leaking, I wouldn't have made it, especially through like the Rockies, which put so much stress on the engine. There were parts where it was such a steep incline, and I would just have to be down in second gear all the way up in the mountains. So it's like engine can't get in the air to run, and it's just ugh. I mean, it was fun. It was also a little scary, you know, just.
Yeah.
Up that high, low power in the Rockies.
Oh, yeah.
Semi trucks just blowing by you. I'm just like, I'm going as fast as I can.
Yeah, there's something to be said about shipping a car, but honestly,
yeah.
they're all about those experiences and driving.
Oh, yeah.
It
It was a great experience. Don't get me wrong. It was just there are some things that I would do differently.
Sure.
Yeah. So the cars that you work on, I know we're coming to a close soon-ish, but the cars that you work on, they're mainly carbureted, fuel-injected? What's the...
Well, I've done both.
Okay.
So one of the cars I have is it's a 73 2002 TII.
Yeah.
It's mechanically much more advanced than a regular carbureted car. However, and that is what everyone wants. You want the TII version. You want the what's called round tail 73. So... I have become more passionate about carbureted cars than fuel-injected cars for one main reason. If you break down, the ability to fix a carbureted car, at least for me, is much simpler than a mechanical fuel-injected 73 BMW. As a matter of fact, I told you earlier about when I was in college and we drove down from Seattle or Bellevue to L.A. In a 73 TII fuel-injected BMW, it broke down in Redding, California, and we were stuck there for 4 days.
Oh, geez.
And should have been foreshadowing. But I do own one fuel-injected car, at least a classic, and it's a wonderful driving car, has more power. And when, and this one's all dialed in, so, knock on wood, it's a wonderful driver. Probably my favorite car. But something about the simplicity of carbureted cars is
better. Yeah,
oh,
no, it's true.
They're so simple.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about mine. You can tune it just by listening, a flathead screwdriver. Any event, I think we're out of time. We have to get out because I think the next station...
the next station has to come on. But
Thank you.
This was a great episode.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll be in touch about Pebble.
Good luck with the show, and congrats on getting this off. I love to spend some time with you guys and get more guests coming in. So
I hope so.
I wanted to say one more thing. Anyone interested in Pebble or anything like that, I would definitely say if you have the time, reach out to Rev and Rant, and we might be able to put you in contact with Mike Pelly here.
Yeah, and if you're on campus, I'm in AF 302.
Yep.
For another couple months anyway.
Oh, yeah.
All righty.
All right,
well,
thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on. And, I'll talk later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in, everyone else. Make sure to contact our Instagram with any questions you have. We'll be back next week. See y'all then.